Hello, welcome to another tonalist landscape oil painting demonstration. Let's see, the painting I'm bringing you today is, I'm just calling it Monochromatic Stream right now. I painted this yesterday actually. Today's Sunday, August 30th, 2020, and yeah, I was wanting to get in and do a monochromatic. Now, I am putting up a live version. It's not terribly long, it's only about just a little over an hour long, but I thought, we'll give you a short version too. We know some of you are really busy, and maybe enjoy the sped up version, and maybe enjoy um, the the dialogue that's not live. I don't know. If you don't, like I always say, mute the video and put on some tunes and just watch the speed painting speed by. The interesting thing about this painting, and I do talk about this in the live version a fairly good amount, is like I had to deviate from the reference in so many extensive ways. There was just details after details of little trees stacked on top of each other. And it was maybe I wouldn't say a struggle, because maybe a challenge, that's a better word, um, to simplify it. And now the fact that it was monochromatic maybe made that simpler, or maybe not, because you can do things with color um, where there doesn't need to be a value shift, but there is a color shift, you know. That said, I really enjoy painting monochromatically. I really enjoy it, and what was great is that, you know, the end result looks awesome. I've sold a few, and I wasn't sure if I ever would, you know, because they don't actually in real life. You don't look at them and say, "Wow, that's a black and white painting." You just go, "Wow, that's a cool painting," because it's cool in tone. Now, one thing I did do here, and you might try this yourself. So I did the board prep on hardboard slash masonite. This was dry process, and the first layer was the normal transparent gesso that you've seen in so many videos, but I didn't want to try and do a monochromatic painting over that brown, because what would happen is I'd have to spend a lot of time covering up little areas, and what that'll do is that'll end up just kind of tightening things up more than you want. So what I did for the second color was I have some gesso, and actually you can see in the video there's some little white bits. It's an old gesso. I really need to buy. Well, I took some old gesso and some black acrylic and mixed it together. Oh no, actually, sorry, wrong. Black gesso and white gesso, and mix them together. I've got a really nice gray gesso, and gray is a good color to paint on anyway. Even if you were doing a color painting, you might find it was really good, but especially good for, say, a blue painting. I have another board the same size. It's prepped. Want to do a little blue painting on that was a scene that, you know, was a painting that had got damaged. Um, Anyway, I did the board prep with a gray, so I've got that to support me underneath, and you just start jumping in. The thing is that it does, I believe, take a bit less time to do a monochromatic painting, because you don't have the color considerations, which is one of the reasons I did it. Like last week, I had my studio torn up again, hopefully for the last time. The contractors were in there, and they've now replaced the sections of the walls that were damaged by the flood. And so hopefully I won't be interrupted for a while, and I'll be able to, oh yeah, hey, you see that scrolling thing? Go to my website, check out my store, buy a painting. That's really my favorite way to get support for what I do, and I always appreciate that support, and I definitely want to thank those of you that have been giving me donations. You're super special people, and really, you know, some of the best representatives of the human species that there are. This is a good chance for me too. I'm looking at this video. It's quite small in my video editor, and what I was going through was just process of elimination, and so much of painting is that you can see how I just eliminated all that stuff on our left hand side. There was a whole complex hill there in the reference with a bunch of little trees on it, and One thing that I think a lot of amateur painters do is they will just slavishly copy what's in the photo, and they'll work really hard, and because they work really hard, they think that um, they're doing good. And not only that, the capacity for self-deception kicks in because you've worked hard on something, so you need to believe in yourself to do anything good. It's like a vicious cycle that can happen. And I'm here to try and help you with that. And what I have to say to that is, you want to, two things. One, two big tips, and I'm always saying these both. You need to simplify and design your landscape painting, not copy photos. If you weren't aware of that, then you need to write that down and make that your modus operandi. Yeah, and sometimes one way to do that is you can do a small study, a very, very small study, so you don't have any room for detail. And um, but the whole idea is to basically internalize that information so that it's always there. There's so many things in your photo reference. That's another thing I'm always harping on. There's so many things that really won't look good in the painting, that you need to leave them out. And so it's really a process of leaving things out, not putting more things in. And I believe amateurs often believe the more that they put in, the better. And again, that the capacity for self-deception, even in somebody that may not be that inclined towards self-deception, it becomes great because you're invested, and you don't see clearly. But what will happen, that's getting to the other thing, is that the other solution, the only solution that I know for this is to paint a lot of paintings. You should be painting every day, or doing something at least. You don't have to do a complete painting every day, but you should be sitting down and getting work done every day. You'd be amazed, and I've heard from my students every excuse under the sun. I didn't feel well. Timmy was home from school, and what am I supposed to do? I've got to pay attention to the kid. Da 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 da. It's like, I don't know. Tell the kid to go outside and play, and get to work. And even then, you find that there's a bunch of time you're wasting. Okay, you could be painting. Um, Work smaller. That's the other thing. If you work smaller, you can do more paintings. It's a double-edged sword, and I've been, both the beneficiary and the victim of that sword. In that I did lots and lots of small paintings, and I got better and better and better and better at doing paintings, and got, you know, to the point where I was getting really good. But on the downside, you can kind of get stiff. If you need to do some large work once in a while too, otherwise you'll be too stiff when you try and scale up. Now, so far in the last few large paintings I've done, I think I've pretty much gotten over that. But even so, where the pluses and the minuses are. To me, the pluses way outweigh the minuses, because you're going after scene after scene after scene. It makes it very difficult. Working small with fairly good sized brushes makes it very difficult to put in a bunch of tweaky detail. And if you find you're reaching for that tiny little sable brush, just leave it in the can and do it with the a 2 flat. Make that your smallest brush. Even a 1 flat is not that big. It's not that small either. And you could definitely do a 5x7 every night. You can find the time. So, and the reason I say that is, like, you want to do good work, you want to do great paintings, but you won't be able to unless you do a lot of paintings, because so much of what's involved with getting good at painting, and mostly I mean landscape painting, because that's what I'm, pretty much an expert at. But I think it would qualify for all painting. It could be still life, could be anything. The only way you'll know how not to do the things that don't work is by doing them, and then having enough work that you get around this self-deception thing, where you're thinking, oh, that looks good, that looks pretty good, getting around that, because if you won't be that attached to the painting that you did 4 weeks ago if you've done a painting every day, and that's 7 times 4 is 28 paintings. you're going to look at that painting from 4 weeks ago. Well, gee, that wasn't that good. Let me fix that right now. You know what I mean? You can see the sense of what I'm saying. And like a 5x7, you could probably do that in an hour and a half. You know, at some sort of state. That's the other thing. Set your sights on just moving along at a good clip. Don't rush, but also don't dilly-dally on or get hung up on any one part of the painting. Move across the whole painting. Keep it moving. Take the time you need to do it right. But you get the message, right? Oh, there's another tip. This big tip video. So that's one of the good things about the 15 minutes, because I know a lot of times I just burble on about what's happening with me in the studio, and I know people that stumble across the channel just go, "Oh my God, I just want information." Well, here's some information for you, because most of those people are long gone at the 10-minute mark here, 11-minute mark. Master studies, and you don't have to do, I don't recommend doing big huge master studies either. I recommend scaling the images down, working at 8x10, or I like 8x12 because it's a golden mean type proportion. Even 5x7, the whole, if you go to the very beginnings of this channel, the whole channel was started on the 100 days of tonalism. Everything in that was either a 5x5 square or a 5x7, and yeah, it took me about a third of a year. It didn't took me, well, what's 100 days? That's about a third. Yeah, yeah. Um, but nothing I've ever done in my career as a painter has improved my work more than just grabbing a chunk of my favorite paintings and saying, I'm going to do studies after these. Because what is that going to do? Well, first of all, if it's small, it's going to keep you out of that, oh my God, I'm not getting all these details that they put in, you know, which again is something that amateurs think is very important. The fact of the matter is that there's another thing, and it touches on what I was saying earlier. Details are not important, not at all. Details are like, you know, having a little extra pepper on your meal. You know, but if the meal's not good, pepper's not going to save it. You get what I'm saying? Salt, I'm not putting in that category. You got to have salt in your food. But pepper is optional, isn't it? It better be delicious without the pepper. Better not be counting on that pepper to make it tasty. Okay? We're stressing the analogy here. Anyway, you know, another good thing is like do this monochromatic thing. It's like break the painting into values. You can turn most photos into black and white very easily. Now, I will say there's a heads up here. I mean, because of the way color works on the computer, there's a red channel, a green channel, and a blue channel. What degree those channels are predominant or in the background is what determines the color of your photo. But when you're making a black and white conversion, you can get very, very different results by tweaking these various different aspects. And also you can definitely go in and do some things like vignetting. You can see this painting here has got quite a vignette that's darker on the sides and very bright in the middle. And that's one of the things that's making it interesting to me. Some people may not love vignetting as much as I do. This is actually pretty extreme vignetting. And in the live video I talk about my process there. I don't usually get that much into what I do to manipulate reference in the computer. Because let's face it, that's most people aren't really going to have most people aren't going to be painters and computer Photoshop experts as I am. Yeah, don't mind saying that I am indeed an expert in Photoshop because I made a living in it every day for 8 to 10 hours a day for 13 years. So I know Photoshop very well, and I know how to get things at least started in Photoshop. That said, all that Photoshop and stuff didn't keep me from making tons and tons of bad paintings. The bad paintings that had to be made for me to be good. Okay, that's the other thing. Every failure adds up to a success down the road if you just keep going. You've got to cover the ground. You've got to fail. You can't be afraid of failing. And you won't be as much if you're doing a lot of work. If you've done 3 paintings in a year and 2 of them were terrible, you're going to feel pretty bad about yourself as a painter. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I'll be back real soon with another video presentation, and you can check out the live version of this if you like too. It's live and it's not that long. And until I do come back with another video, please do me a favor. Take very good care of yourself and your family and your loved ones. Try and love your enemies. Be patient with people that annoy you, and stay out of trouble.